I'm going to call this SEDA regular session to order with roll call. Board Member Van Gordon. Here. Board Member Weber. Here. Board Member Moe. Here. Board Member Rodley.
Here.
Board Member Stair. Here. Board Member Doyle.
Here.
Board Member Pictionary.
Here, thank you.
And Board Member Lovell. Thank you. Board Member Lovell's excused for the evening. They went through state of the county and swearing in today, and I believe they're still out celebrating. First item was SEDA board officer elections. As you notice, I'm pinch hitting today as secretary, so navigate everybody through this. My suggestion is that we just push this until the next meeting, not next week. That way we can have David Lovell here and we can have a discussion with the full board and then decide how to elect officers from there. All right, I'm seeing a lot of head nods. So we're going to move on to the next item then.
The next item is confirm SEDA staff liaison, and this is my item. So under the SEDA bylaws, the staff, the city manager recommends a liaison for the SEDA staff. City Manager Newton has recommended Allie Camp, who's our economic development manager. Allie leads the economic development team, which includes both urban renewal districts and serves as SEDA's program manager. And the staff liaison assists the secretary with record keeping, signing of documents on the attest line when it's needed, SEDA resolutions, other work associated with that. So that's all I have.
All right. Are there any questions before I accept a motion to confirm Allie Camp is the SEDA staff liaison?
I'd like to make a motion to confirm Allie Camp.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Neil, could you call the vote, please?
Yes, Board Member Van Gordon.
Yes.
Board Member Weber.
Yes.
Board Member Moe.
Yes.
Board Member Rodley.
Yes.
Board Member Stair.
Here.
Board Member Doyle.
Yes.
And Board Member Pictionary.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Motion passes 7 yeses,
Welcome.
noes, and 1 absent.
I do have a note to share with you as part of the record keeping business for the SEDA board. We are going to have minute takers in our meetings moving forward. This is a request from a member of the public, and also I think it's good for us to know what happens at meetings that we don't have to dig through videos. So they may be attending in person. Sometimes they may be virtual, just a heads up. There will be a briefing memo sent to you later this week to describe this too.
Perfect. All right. So then we're going to move on to communications.
Yeah, any business from the audience?
Yeah, so the instructions I have are that there are 2 designated items for public testimony this evening under business from the audience and public hearings. If you're attending in person, please complete the request to speak card located at the city recorder's desk in the Jesse main room and turn it into the city recorder. If you are joining online with a tablet, smartphone, and computer and wish to speak to either of those times, please use the raise hand item feature in Zoom. The order of public testimony is as follows: anyone in the Jesse main room or anyone who has raised their virtual hands. I do not have any cards in the room, so I'm good. Are there any virtual hands?
No, does not appear we have any hands for this item.
All right, the next item, please.
Next item is the Blue McKinsey project overview, and Allie Camp here for this item.
Sure, and I'm going to invite Nathan Bell to come sit with me up here if he wants to. We're going to do a comprehensive project overview of the Blue McKinsey project, being some exciting milestones. And I think with new SEDA board members, it's a great time to just do a refresh of the project. So much of SEDA's involvement to date has been financial, which is why I've asked Nathan to do it. It works.
One second, and I apologize. It's gonna not work for a moment because I need it to share and it's not sharing. I apologize to everyone.
That was me. I moved them.
Thank you.
Okay, we good?
We're good.
Thank you, AJ. So up on the screen, you'll see a current rendering of the Blue McKinsey project. Beautiful, right in the foreground. I have been describing this project as a legacy project for downtown Springfield and for SEDA. We're expected to see the site work and the groundbreaking for the building in the first half of 2023. So that legacy work will begin. I'm going to review some key project details with you all today, just to make sure we have talking points whenever folks at the public ask us about it. This is a project site in the downtown core. You can see it outlined on the map right here in between the post office and the old Buick building right on A Street. It will be providing 84 units of market rate housing with ground floor commercial, and it will be of mass timber construction. And I know what you're asking, what is mass timber construction? It's a way to talk about a group of engineered wood products. These engineered wood products are different types of wood that are pressed together with an adhesive. It makes them really strong, and it uses pieces of the wood products that we don't usually use, so it makes it a more sustainable product. They are made in specialized factories. Bloom Mackenzie will incorporate a type of engineered wood product, mass timber construction, called cross-laminated timber. And what it is it's kind of layers of plywood, and they're put perpendicular on top of each other. They're smushed together with adhesive, and it makes for a really strong piece of construction. So this building will include that. I'd also like to review the project goals with y'all today. I'm going to read them off the screen. One, to creating of a proof of concept to communicate viability and profitability of a new construction type and height in Springfield, as we saw from the rendering. Providing a market rate, high density housing project to serve as a comparable to financial institutions approving similar future projects. We want more of this in downtown Springfield. Creating a dense development in downtown, which spurs subsequent private taxable development and increases the market rate housing stock. We need housing, and this is in our downtown urban renewal district, so tax increment is important. These goals reflect the significance of a building of this type in our downtown. So we're going to jump into kind of the project history to date. Started in 2019 when Buick was preparing to close. The owners of Buick reached out to the city of Springfield to talk about the future of the site, knowing that they were a large landowner in our downtown core. Oh, I like this photo too, because does this have a laser?
No.
Oh, darn. Okay. There you can, if you zoom in, you can see the Buick site up kind of in the center of the render or the photo on the screen. We'll get a close-up look, don't worry. So moving on, in 2020, this is when the project really started to take off with SEDA. In March of 2020, SEDA reviewed and approved funding for kind of an initial feasibility study for what could happen on the site for the Sheriff family. That was $85,000, and the Sheriff family is the family who owns the Buick lot and the two surrounding parking lots. That initial feasibility study looked at mixed use on the site, a mixture of residential and commercial, and they looked at the site as a whole. So including those parking lots and the Buick building, a lot larger of a site than that little yellow square we saw initially on that first slide. In 2020, the consultant hired for that feasibility study in October came back and shared their findings with SEDA. That consultant was named SiteWorks, and this work demonstrated what the site could achieve under certain financial assumptions and feasibility assumptions. Provided some certainty to you all moving forward with the future of the project. And then again, in December of 2020, the SEDA board directed staff to focus efforts on a project partnership that might generate direct financial return for the agency. This is using our tax increment dollars. This direction provided the content for what would later be included in a memorandum of understanding with Bloom Mackenzie LLC, who is the project owner. Oh, and these are just some renderings of the building. You may have seen them in the past, but they were new to me. I'm learning about this project too. Moving on to 2021, here's that kind of same image shown a little bit closer. You can get a better sense of where the Buick building is in between the post office, nearing it on that site. I like this because we're getting closer to our goal. So our photos are getting closer to the site. So in March of 2021, the SEDA board authorized SEDA to enter a memorandum of understanding with Bloom Mackenzie LLC, the project owner. The MOU outlined intent by SEDA to financially participate in two ways for this project. The two ways include a $2 million pre-development loan and then a $10 million construction loan. The MOU includes other responsibilities of both parties, specific to the developer, specific to the city, and then responsibilities we share together. In April of 2021, so 1 month later, the board authorized staff to execute a loan for that initial $2 million of pre-development costs. This loan authorization is an administrative step and budgetary process after approval of the funds being loaned to the project. We'll see a little bit of that today too. Pre-development work includes anything from architectural design, structural design, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, survey work, site work, geotechnical work, pre-construction, project estimating, and then project management and permitting. So the $2 million stretch is really far away whenever we're talking about initial feasibility for a project. After the pre-development work, the property was partitioned into the small lot that we saw initially on the screen. And the lot was sold from the Sheriff family to Blue Mackenzie LLC for $400,000. That money was also part of the pre-development loan. Next, we're going to see a big gap in time from 2021 to 2022 because that's when that pre-development work really started. So about a year later, in June of 2022, SEDA discussed supporting a delay of construction bidding until the winter. The economic conditions in June of 2022 were not ideal to be bidding a construction project and seeking a private one. So this delay means that we shifted the construction lending conversation to winter of 2022 and groundbreaking to spring of 2023. So that's the plan we're on now. The project proceeded with land use steps in the meantime. In August of 2022, city staff met with the client or the customer for completeness check. And then in November 22, they submitted their land use approvals, which was a site plan requirement. Again, in November 22, which feels like it was just yesterday, to me at least, SEDA reviewed market conditions for construction bidding and approved to proceed with the $10 million construction loan. That was committed again in the MOU that was developed in March of 2021. So we're kind of leading all up to the end of this financial conversation. In December of 22, the project received land use approvals for the submitted site plan. Additionally, during the month of December, Blue Mackenzie LLC proceeded with collecting construction bids. And we heard today that they have a general contractor selected, which is great news. Oh, I love this photo. Springfield looks beautiful. The site is not in this photo, so if you're looking for it, you're not gonna find it. So this project is at an exciting transition. I like to call it, it's moving to SEDA Light. So SEDA has committed a lot of decision-making capacity up to this point in time, and we're moving to a point where the building is going to be moving through our existing processes for things like building permits and public improvements. It's exciting. Pre-development work is 96% completed according to the billing statements we've received from Blue Mackenzie LLC. And after Blue Mackenzie secures their side of the private financing, which we call the senior lender in this capacity, they will move into kind of capturing those existing processes that we have at Springfield, the building permits, the sub permits, the public infrastructure. It's going to kind of move into being a building all on its own. SEDA's role will change, but y'all will still receive updates, which I'm excited about because we'll have some kind of visual representation of the site of progress over time. But that's the end of my PowerPoint. This agenda item has a lot of time built in for questions from the new board members, from the existing board members, and Nathan and I are here to answer anything. Also members, we have some staff members in the seats too.
Joe. So I got a question. Is this anticipating or was there anything planned or has it already been done? And then doing any core samples or searching for any potential site contamination or remediation plans? If there's a contingency plan for that, if it has not been done.
That would be part of the pre-development work that Blue Mackenzie LLC took on. Christina, you're looking at me. Do you have any comments for
part of that initial work, the $85,000
Oh, nice.
that they funded? Before that, they did an environmental assessment as part of the very initial work. So there shouldn't be.
But yeah, it's been done?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So you mentioned the groundbreaking is upcoming, March of 2023. We're gonna make a big fuss about it, right? We all get to come out there and like wear hard hats and things to do. Okay.
SEDA has a big role in this project's success, as you know. They're a major supporter of the financials of it. So I think we get to make a big fuss. I'm allowed to say that we get.
I'm about the storytelling and the big fusses.
Because we're not creating new shovels because AJ has to retain them. We have to use the ones already existing.
And remember, Radley, we're expecting that to be in May, but of course, you know, the swirl of all the things that need to happen, we'll keep you updated.
Victoria.
Well, and as I read this, it's, if you just listen to it, it sounds like $12 million, but the understanding, the way I read it was that out of that 10 million, they're actually paying back the first 2 million. So there's really only a total of 10 million. Is that correct? And that's funds that are coming from SEDA, is that correct? And then they're gonna be paid back to you through the development and through, rent and all of that stuff. Is that correct? Over a 15-year period?
That's a great question. Nathan, I'm gonna hand that one to you.
So actually, our investment's gonna sit silently until the sale of the property, but it's gonna be accruing interest over that period of time. And at the point of sale, there's tiers of how it's paid out, but we will be paid back, our investment, plus interest.
Yeah, except that we're not first in line, it sounds like, the way I read it. And so,
First in line is the senior.
right,
Second in line is gonna be Blue McKinsey, with their original investment, which will be $1 million, plus a guaranteed interest rate of 4%. And then we're third in line.
see, third in line. And then the other thing that I was a little bit concerned about, because when I was involved in stuff a few years ago, we had an issue where we had done loans, and I don't know if it was for small businesses or what, but we ended up losing a lot of money from that. The city did, because they loaned money and then the businesses kind of failed, and then we were sort of stuck. We didn't get anything out of that. We actually ended up on a loss. So is there any protections in place, or are we kind of at risk that if this does, I mean, it's a great project. I'm all for it. I'm just saying that my concern is that we go forward with this and then something crazy happens like 2008 or whatever, and then now the city is on the hook and we're third in line. So
Could you just clarify one thing before I let you, when you talk about the city of losing money, you mean the city of Cottage Grove, not the city of.
no, I meant here. I thought that there was some sort of business loans that we were doing at one time. Is that not correct? There was a. I'll think of it. It was a name. It was like a restaurant or some sort of a business that, okay, I may be mistaken. That's good. I mean, that's good. I want to be mistaken and for that.
If you think of what it is, right, like Nancy can get an answer to it. Now,
Regardless, if something happens and we're third in line, I mean, like, we just lose the money, like.
So let me speak to that. So there is risk involved. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. So, we're third in line, but on the backside of us is all the blue sky for the developer, and they want to get there.
Okay,
So if we have a 2008 downturn, and that's the thing, we have a sell point in the future. But if at that point, it is not a good time to sell, it's in their interest as much as ours. And we built some discretionary time into the payback. I think the point of sale was expected to be around year 10, and that's including the time that's already expired, roughly 2 years, so another 8 years from now. But we have the loan set up to 15 years, recognizing timing wise, it may not be the right time to sell.
perfect. Yeah, I think it's a great project. I'm all for it, so.
I'm gonna audibly raise my hands. I'm sorry. We also have a it's a secured loan, so we do have we'll place a lien on the property so that if for some reason, the project failed, we do have a security interest in obtaining potential ownership of the property or proceeds from, a sale of the property. And we also have an interest in we have an assignment of all of the work product that we paid for. So all of the plans, the specifications, and all of that, if the project were to fail, SEDA would take ownership of those. So I think as Nathan referenced, there's a lot of incentives that operate in our favor, but there are also some legal protections. While they may not be the full 10 million if all of that is spent, there's some, there as well.
I think what I was thinking was the head of the community development advisory committee. That's where I thought about that on stuff. So I'll have to go back to my notes.
Yeah. Any other questions?
When is projected to be in the ground? I mean, as far as shoveling the ground somewhere around May?
Right now, the plan is for May, but again, there's flexibility there considering construction bidding, and getting workers to the ground and the site work that needs to take place too.
May is better than March, it's better weather.
Yeah, I think we're all excited. The one question I did have, the construction plan still assumes that we're using the memorial building at some place for staging, right, in space, right? Okay, good. Good. I think we're all really excited for this. So the sooner we get it into the ground and moving, we're all, standing out there going, build it faster, build it faster.
The action item here.
No, we are good. Okay. Next item, please.
Next item, we have one public hearing this evening. It's fiscal year 23 supplemental budget 2. This is resolution number 1, a resolution adjusting resources and requirements in the following funds: SEDA, Downtown General Fund, and Nathan Bell is here for the staff report.
Right, good evening again, board. The item in front of you this evening is a request to conduct a public hearing and not adopt a resolution adjusting resources and requirements in the SEDA Downtown General Fund. This supplemental budget totals $11.2 million. Of that, 10 million is an appropriation for the loan to Blue McKinsey. 100,000 of that is the administrative costs related to the TIF borrowing that there's a resolution that'll be going in front of you a little later. And then 1.1 million is an appropriation for phase 3 of the downtown streetlight project. I just want to speak to that quickly. At the time that we originally looked at doing a borrowing in the downtown based on the increment, we thought we'd be maximizing our increment just to do the $10 million borrowing. In fiscal year 23, we've had some positive developments as it relates to the increment. We had the enterprise zone exemption, a portion of it expired for Swanson's Mill that came back onto the tax rules, as well as some improvements at Hexion and a very strong downtown area. The result is a significant increase in our increment in the downtown area and the ability to borrow more than the 10 million. So at that point, the question was, because the borrowing costs are essentially fixed, if we're going to do anything else, we should combine them with this borrowing. One of the items that we thought of was the downtown streetlight project, which was in front of you back in 2020. This appropriation is in front of actually the conversation on that streetlight project. So I just want to be clear that this appropriation would only be used if we were given direction to move forward on the streetlight project. Otherwise, it would sit and just expire at the end of the fiscal year. It would only be used for this project with your approval and not used for anything else.
Are there any questions? All right, then I'm going to open the public hearing. I don't have any cards for this item. Has anybody raised their hand?
Looks like we have no hands for this item.
Then I close the public hearing and I will accept a motion.
There's a request from the Paramount area a couple of years ago to look at the street lighting out there. And I actually went out and looked at it. It was terrible. This is gonna fix it. It's great.
All right.
I move that we adopt resolution 1.
Second. All right. Neil, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Board Member Van Gordon.
Aye.
Board Member Weber.
Yes.
Board Member Mo.
Yes.
Board Member Rodley.
Yes.
Board Member Stair.
Yes.
Board Member Doyle.
Aye.
Board Member Missionary.
Yes, thank
And
you.
Board Member Lefall.
Motion passes 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent. Next item, please.
The next item is under old business, and it is the downtown lighting installation. And Ally Camp is here for the staff report.
So, since we haven't touched on this project since 2020, we're going to give you a brief refresher so we can all feel good about it moving forward. I want to thank Fahana Keen, who's in the audience, for her work on this project in the past. You've probably seen her essentially. So the downtown lighting installation project 3A and 3B is an eligible downtown urban renewal project because it's a project that increases pedestrian amenities, improves safety, and positively impacts property values. City staff have an opportunity to secure funding, as Nathan explained. So we're just going to give you a brief overview of the project before we jump into that part of the meeting. In the next few slides, I'll explain the scope of phase 3A and 3B as collected in 2020 and updated for inflation and provide a brief project history. While the scope of the work has not changed since 2020, inflationary impacts to the project have occurred to the tune of 10% per year of the project cost. Additional cost considerations were taken on top of inflation to account for the fact that this is not part of our traffic ops and capital projects team's work plan currently, and for project unknowns. So the lights that we're talking about are the ones displayed on the screen. They're 16-foot decorative light. Phase 1 of the downtown lighting installation was in 2014/2015. And phase 2 of the downtown lighting installation was completed in 2017. These fixtures were purchased from another municipality and repurposed in Springfield. Just for information, we call these decorative lights. We also have street lights in our community, and we also have catenary lighting, which is the string lights. So these ones are beautiful decorative lights. I briefly touched on the phase 1 and phase 2 implementation of this project in the past, and this map demonstrates where phase 1 occurred with the red and where phase 2 occurred with the black dots. So in 2019, SEDA gave direction to kind of move into exploring this project. In 2020, they were presented with refined costs and scope. The refined costs and scope that were shared with you are what I'm going to go through next. So phase 3A and 3B. Phase 3A stretches along Main Street from roughly 19th to 23rd. And the notable surrounding feature is the Paramount Shopping Center, like board member Mo pointed out. This phase was scoped in 2020 to include replacing light poles with 16-foot decorative lights. Those are the blue dots you see on the map. Updating existing light poles from overhead power to underground power, which is the red dots that you see on the map. And then installing new light poles with the 16-foot decorative lights shown in yellow. There are 13 of those, only 9 are shown on the map because we will need to see where light is needed in the field if this project proceeds. This site was discovered to have significant deficiencies with existing lighting and electric systems, which will be required to be mitigated as part of this project. That's why we built in a little bit more of that inflationary cost too. This phase has been estimated to cost $853,500 considering inflation. Phase 3B, you'll see on the screen here, and it stretches along A from roughly 6 to 8. Notable surrounding features include the Blue Mackenzie project site. How cool is that? And the Buick building, which we all love too. This phase was scoped in 2020 to include replacing light poles with the decorative lights. Those are the blue dots on the screen, and then installing new light poles seen in orange. This phase has been estimated to cost $225,000 considering inflation. So today you have an action requested of you to direct staff to proceed or not with the downtown lighting installation. As Nathan said, this project is moving through other financial decisions. There will be other checkpoints for you all, but this gives us a pulse whether or not we proceed with some of the due diligence and decisions today to proceed with this lighting ask. And look, taking care of the lights in the photo.
So, quick question and probably quite elementary, but the new lighting that we're putting throughout the city, LED heads, so replace the Cobra heads with LED fixtures. Am I presumptuous in thinking that those in these areas, that part of the project are held off, so that way when they're replaced, there's no point in touching those lights twice, as opposed to leaving the old ones up until these new ones get installed, instead of removing new ones, old ones and putting new ones up and then putting new ones up again. That makes sense.
It does. I don't know the answer to that, but I can check with our operations team.
It's just a suggestion, don't do it. Strong suggestion, don't waste the time and money.
They're pretty busy, so.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, I don't know how to prioritize. I know that Main Street was prioritized and Main Street is beautiful all the way out. But 8th Street, the B there, B-Ray. And along that stretch, I don't know if that was prioritized high as well. Already replaced with the LED fixtures now. But if not, then I would suggest that we don't get rid of it. So, do this project first.
Any other questions? Victoria?
I'm sorry, has there been any problems with vandalism of these lights? I'm just curious in the downtown area, or has it been pretty stable? It's been okay?
We haven't seen any in the downtown. I think you might be referring to 42nd Street where we've had a lot.
No, I didn't know if it was at all. I was just curious. These decorative poles, I'd hate to see that.
Somebody did get into an accident once and hit one, and that's it. And we replaced it.
Yeah,
No vandalism.
okay, awesome.
42nd Street was a well-practiced range for different calibers.
Right. Any other questions?
I believe we have several hundred or maybe 1,000 of those fixtures available. They were
really?
purchased in San Diego.
Right.
Right. So a lot of them brought them up here.
Yep.
So we still have a lot to find homes for. And I think that would be an interesting fact the next time we talk about this is just to understand how many we have left, right? So people can think about it sort of logically. This is a good thing for Ward 3, and this is a good thing for, the Paramount Center, who's been given this set of lights for a long time. So that's pretty cool. The only other thing that I had is use the term electrical deficiencies. And if there's an opportunity to give feedback to our sub-partners about maybe inadequacies in the electrical grid, I would be interested in providing that. Like if I'm good signing something, or if we're going to share that on the Team Springfield meeting, their efforts to plan for long-term electrical usage would be, I'm sure they're always looking for additional feedback.
I've been pushing as much as I can in conversations, even on the budget committee, right?
Okay. Right, oh, go ahead, Joe.
And just, not even thinking about this too, I just want to reiterate, if we got plans or there's areas where we think we're gonna be putting these fixtures, please don't spend the money to put in the new LED lights that we authorize to go throughout the city. Just go to a different area, and that this areas that may be in content, potential areas where we're gonna put these lights to not spend the time or money to put in new fixtures right now.
Perfect. I think you're just looking for a head nod here, right? Okay. Then we are good. Go forward. Light up Springfield.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nancy.
If I just make it real on, I just want to recognize staff for the excellent work on thinking of this project. Nathan Bell, when doing the working the financials for the loan, kind of discovered we had a little bit of wiggle room to do that. And so talked to Vahana and Ali about potentially, and Neil, you were involved in that conversation, about pushing this out. And so I just appreciate Nathan, his creativity and our staff's being really quick to get the information to you so we can make that decision and include it in the project.
Good work. Perfect. Nice job. Next item.
Next item under new business, item number 1 is the SEDA Downtown Urban Renewal Borrowing. This is resolution number 2, a resolution authorizing indebtedness for capital projects described in the urban renewal plan for downtown urban renewal area. And Nathan Bell is here for the staff report.
All right, good evening again, board. Your final decision this evening, and this is a request to adopt, not adopt a resolution authorizing indebtedness for capital projects described in the urban renewal plan for the downtown urban renewal area. This authorization is for up to 13.1 million. That breaks down into 10 million for the Blue McKinsey loan, 100,000 for the administrative costs related to the increment borrowing, 1.1 million for the lighting project that we just described, and then up to 1.9 million for a reserve if required by the lender. And just speaking to that, up until now, with the Glenwood borrowings, we haven't been required to have a reserve. And we anticipate that'll be the case here as well. But on the chance that one of the lenders through the RFP process puts forward a reserve that has more favorable terms that we would want, that is a possibility. We're requesting amortization schedules for this borrowing of 10, 15, and 20 years. Typically, a reserve for a borrowing is 1 year worth of debt service. So this is based on the most ambitious, aggressive amortization schedule. So it could be up to 1.9 million, but we don't expect it to actually materialize. If that's the case, that portion of the borrowing won't happen and it will be less than the 13.1 million. Any questions?
All right. So can I get a motion?
Sure, I could make a motion to adopt resolution number 2, authorizing indebtedness for capital project described in the urban renewal plan for the downtown urban renewal area.
Second. Neil, could you call the vote, please?
Yes, board member Van Gordon.
Yes.
Board member Weber.
Yes.
Board member Mo.
Yes.
Board member Rodley.
Yes.
Board member Stair.
Yes.
Board member Doyle. Board member Pictionary.
Yes,
And board member Lovell.
Motion passes, 7 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 absent. And that looks like the rest of all our work for the evening. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Boom.